The night air in Maple Hollow carried a soft coolness as Daniel stepped outside, closing the cabin door gently behind him. Pip trotted out at his side, the small orange tabby moving with quiet confidence. He paused on the porch, sniffing the air, then looked up at Daniel with a slow blink before continuing down the path. The sky above Maple Hollow was clear, washed in deep blue, with the first stars beginning to appear. Daniel followed the narrow trail that wound toward evening rise, a small hill just beyond the edge of town. The observatory sat at the top, a round, quiet building with a domed roof that reflected the faint starlight. Pip stayed close to Daniel's leg, his tail held low and relaxed. Every few steps he paused to look around, his ears turning toward distant sounds, a soft rustle in the grass, the gentle creak of a branch shifting in the night breeze. He moved calmly, his paws silent on the path. As they reached the base of evening rise, Daniel slowed his pace. The hill rose gently, covered in soft grass that swayed lightly in the cool air. Pip stepped ahead, his movements slow and deliberate, stopping occasionally to sniff a patch of grass or glance toward the trees. The climb was easy, quiet, and unhurried. The night deepened around them, the sky filling with more stars. The air carried the faint scent of pine and cool earth, and the soft breeze brushed against Daniel's sleeves. Near the top of the hill, the observatory came into view. Its round shape looked peaceful in the starlight, and the warm glow from a small lamp near the door cast a gentle circle of light on the ground. Pip paused at the edge of the light, his whiskers twitching as he examined the door. Daniel reached out and opened it slowly. Inside, the observatory was warm and dimly lit. The air smelled faintly of old wood, polished brass, and the cool metal of the telescope. The large instrument stood near the center of the room, angled toward a window in the dome where the night sky shone through. Mr. Callan stood beside the telescope, adjusting a small brass dial with slow, careful movements. He looked up when Daniel entered, offering a soft smile. "Evening, Daniel," he said. "And hello, Pip." Pip walked in quietly, his paws making almost no sound on the wooden floor. He moved toward a small rug near the telescope and circled once before settling down, his tail curling neatly along his side. Daniel stepped closer to the telescope. The brass fittings glowed softly in the lamplight, and the long tube pointed toward a patch of sky filled with faint stars. "It's a clear night," Mr. Collins said. "Perfect for a quiet look." Daniel nodded. "It feels calm out there." "It does," Mr. Collins replied. "Nights like this make the world feel slower." He adjusted another dial, the soft click blending with the quiet hum of the lamp. Pip watched him with slow, steady eyes, his ears relaxed and his breathing calm. Mr. Collins stepped aside. "Would you like to take the first look?" Daniel leaned toward the telescope. Placing one hand gently on the wooden frame, the eyepiece felt cool beneath his fingers. He lowered his gaze slowly, letting his eyes adjust to the soft darkness inside the lens. A cluster of stars came into view. Tiny points of light gathered together in a quiet pattern. They shimmered gently, their faint glow steady and calm. Daniel breathed slowly, letting the sight settle into him. Behind him, Pip shifted slightly on the rug, stretching his front paws before settling again. His tail flicked once, then stilled. Mr. Callan moved to a small shelf and picked up a notebook. He flipped it open, the pages rustling softly. "That cluster is one of my favorites," he said. "It's quiet, steady, always there even when the sky looks empty." Daniel continued to look through the telescope, watching the stars shimmer in the stillness. The observatory felt warm, peaceful, and safe, a quiet pocket of calm tucked into the night. He lifted his head slowly and stepped back from the telescope. The room felt even softer now, the lamplight blending gently with the faint glow from the sky. Pip blinked at him, his eyes half closed in a relaxed, sleepy way. Daniel smiled. "It's beautiful, mister." Colin nodded. "There's more to see, and the night is still young." Daniel looked around the observatory, feeling the calm settle deeper into him. Pip curled his paws beneath his chest, his breathing slow and steady. The night grew even quieter as Daniel stepped back from the telescope. The warm lamplight blended gently with the faint glow of the sky above, creating a soft, steady calm that filled the room. Pip shifted on the rug, stretching his front paws before settling again, his tail curling neatly along his side. Mr. Callan adjusted a brass lever on the telescope, the movement slow and deliberate. The soft click of the mechanism echoed lightly through the observatory, blending with the quiet hum of the lamp. "There's another view worth seeing tonight," he said. "A gentle one. Nothing sharp or bright." Daniel nodded. "I'm ready." Pip lifted his head, blinking slowly as he watched Mr. Callan move. His ears turned toward the faint sound of the telescope shifting, then relaxed again. He let out a soft huff, barely audible, before resting his chin on his paws. Mr. Callan stepped aside and motioned toward the eyepiece. "Take your time." Daniel leaned forward, placing one hand gently on the wooden frame. The eyepiece felt cool beneath his fingers. He lowered his gaze slowly, letting his eyes adjust to the soft darkness inside the lens. A single star appeared, faint, steady, and warm. It wasn't part of a cluster. It stood alone, glowing softly against the dark sky. The light shimmered in a slow, gentle rhythm, almost like a lantern plant breathing in the quiet. Daniel breathed slowly, letting the sight settle into him. The star felt patient, calm, and steady. Behind him, Pip rose to his feet and walked a few steps closer, his paws silent on the wooden floor. He sat beside Daniel's leg, looking up at him with relaxed eyes. His tail flicked once, then stilled. Daniel lifted his head from the telescope and looked down at Pip. "It's a peaceful one," he said softly. Pip blinked slowly, his whiskers twitching just once before he settled again. Mr. Collins smiled. "That star's been steady for as long as watched the sky. Some nights it's faint, some nights it's brighter, but it's always there." He walked to a small shelf and picked up a folded cloth, wiping the brass fittings of the telescope with slow, careful motions. The cloth moved gently across the metal, creating a soft, whispering sound that blended with the quiet of the room. Daniel stepped back from the telescope and looked around the observatory. The wooden walls held a faint warmth, and the dome above let in a soft wash of starlight. The room felt like a quiet pocket tucked into the night, a place where everything slowed down. Pip moved toward the far corner, sniffing lightly at a wooden crate before settling beside it. He curled his tail around his paws and rested his head on the floor, his breathing slow and steady. Mr. Callan adjusted the telescope again, turning it toward another patch of sky. The movement was slow, almost meditative, and the soft creak of the mechanism added to the gentle rhythm of the room. "There's a nebula rising," he said. "Not bright, just a soft one." Daniel stepped forward again, placing his hand on the wooden frame. He leaned toward the eyepiece, letting his eyes settle into the darkness. A faint cloud of light appeared, soft, pale, and drifting. It wasn't sharp or bright. It looked like a quiet mist suspended in the sky, glowing gently from within. The edges blurred into the darkness, creating a slow, calming shape that seemed to breathe with the night. Daniel watched it for a long moment, letting the sight settle into him. The nebula felt peaceful, like a distant lantern glowing in the quiet sky. He lifted his head slowly and stepped back. The observatory felt even softer now, the lamplight blending gently with the faint glow from the dome. Pip rose again and walked toward Daniel, brushing lightly against his leg before sitting down beside him. His tail curled neatly, and he looked up with slow, relaxed eyes. Mr. Colin closed his notebook and set it on the shelf. "Nights like this remind me why I built this place," he said. "Quiet skies. Gentle light. Nothing rushed." Daniel nodded. "It feels calm." "It is," Mr. Colin replied, "and there's still more to see." Daniel looked around the observatory, feeling the calm settle deeper into him. Pip leaned lightly against his leg, warm and steady. The quiet of the room held them both in a soft, felt warmer as the night deepened, the soft lamplight blending with the faint glow drifting in through the dome. Daniel stood near the telescope, letting the quiet settle around him. Pip remained close, sitting beside Daniel's leg, with his tail curled neatly along his side. His eyes were half closed, relaxed, watching the slow movements of the room. Mr. Colin moved toward a small cabinet near the wall. He opened it gently, revealing a set of polished brass lenses arranged in neat rows. Each lens rested in a small wooden cradle, labeled with careful handwriting. The cabinet smelled faintly of cedar and old varnish. "These lenses are for softer views," he said. "They don't sharpen the stars. They smooth them." Daniel stepped closer, watching the way the lamplight glowed across the brass. Pip followed, his paws silent on the wooden floor. He sniffed lightly at the bottom of the cabinet, then sat down again, his ears relaxed. Mr. Colin selected a lens and held it up to the light. The glass shimmered faintly, catching the warm glow of the lamp. "This one is my favorite," he said. "It softens everything, makes the sky feel like it's drifting." He moved back to the telescope and began to attach the lens with slow, careful motions. The soft clicks of the brass fittings echoed gently through the observatory. Pip watched him with steady eyes, his whiskers twitching once before settling again. Daniel stepped forward as Mr. Callan finished adjusting the telescope. "Go ahead," he said. "This view is different." Daniel placed his hand on the wooden frame and leaned toward the eyepiece. The cool metal felt steady beneath his fingers. He lowered his gaze slowly, letting his eyes adjust to the soft darkness inside the lens. A wide field of stars appeared, not sharp, not bright, but drifting. The softened lens made the stars look like tiny lanterns suspended in a gentle mist. They shimmered in slow waves, their light blending together in a calm, quiet pattern. Daniel breathed slowly, letting the sight settle into him. The stars felt peaceful, like distant lights floating in a warm night breeze. Behind him, Pip rose to his feet and walked closer, brushing lightly against Daniel's leg before sitting again. His tail curled neatly, and he looked up with slow, relaxed eyes. Daniel lifted his head from the telescope. "It looks softer," he said. Mr. Colin nodded. "That's the idea. Not every view needs to be sharp. Some nights call for gentler skies." He walked to a small table near the wall and picked up a wooden box. Inside were several folded star maps, each drawn with careful lines and soft ink. He opened one and laid it flat on the table. The map showed constellations arranged in sweeping arcs, their shapes gentle and flowing. "This map is for nights like this," he said, "when the sky feels quiet." Daniel stepped closer, looking at the map. The lines were delicate, almost like brushstrokes. Pip hopped onto the rug beside the table, settling with his paws tucked neatly beneath him. Mr. Colin traced one of the constellations with his finger. "This one is called the Lantern Arc. It's faint, easy to miss. But when the sky is soft, you can see it." Daniel leaned over the map, studying the gentle curve of stars. "Can we find it tonight?" Mr. Callan smiled. "We can try." He moved back to the telescope and adjusted the angle, turning it slowly toward a different patch of sky. The soft creak of the mechanism blended with the quiet of the room. Pip watched the movement, his ears turning slightly before relaxing again. Daniel leaned toward the eyepiece once more. The softened lens revealed a faint arc of stars, barely visible but present. The stars formed a gentle curve, glowing softly in the darkness. The shape looked like a lantern's handle drifting quietly in the night sky. "I see it," Daniel said softly. Mr. Colin nodded. "It's one of the calmest constellations, always faint, always gentle." Daniel watched the arc for a long moment, letting the quiet settle deeper into him. The stars shimmered in slow waves, their light blending into the soft darkness. He lifted his head and stepped back. The observatory felt even warmer now, the lamplight steady and calm. Pip rose and walked to Daniel's side, brushing lightly against his leg before sitting again. His breathing was slow, steady, and relaxed, Mr. Colin closed the star map and placed it back in the wooden box. "There's still more to see," he said. "The sky has a way of offering something new when you're patient." Daniel nodded, feeling the calm of the room settle around him. Pip leaned gently against his leg, warm and steady. The night continued quietly, the observatory holding itself wrapped in a deeper stillness as the night moved on. The lamplight glowed softly across the wooden floor, and the faint shimmer of starlight drifted through the dome above. Daniel stood near the telescope, letting the quiet settle around him. Pip remained close, sitting with his tail curled neatly along his side, his eyes half closed, in a calm, steady way. Mr. Colin moved toward a small shelf near the wall. He opened a wooden drawer slowly, revealing a set of delicate star charts tucked inside. Each chart was drawn on thick paper, the ink faded slightly from years of gentle use. He lifted one out and unfolded it carefully, smoothing the edges with slow, practiced motions. "This one is special," he said. "It shows the softer constellations, the ones that don't stand out unless the night is calm." Daniel stepped closer, watching the way the lamplight brushed across the chart. The lines were gentle, almost like brushstrokes, forming shapes that drifted across the page. Pip rose to his feet and walked toward them, sniffing lightly at the corner of the table before settling again with his paws tucked beneath him. Mr. Callan pointed to a faint curve of stars drawn near the center of the chart. "This is the Whispering Path. It's barely visible most nights, but tonight it might show itself." Daniel nodded. "Let's try." Mr. Colin moved back to the telescope and adjusted the angle, turning it slowly toward a different patch of sky. The soft creak of the mechanism blended with the quiet of the room. Pip watched the movement, his ears turning slightly before relaxing again. Daniel placed his hand on the wooden frame and leaned toward the eyepiece. The cool metal felt steady beneath his fingers. He lowered his gaze slowly, letting his eyes settle into the soft darkness inside the lens. A faint line of stars appeared, delicate, drifting, almost hidden. They formed a gentle curve, glowing softly in the darkness. The shape looked like a quiet path stretching across the sky, its edges blurred into the night. "I see it," Daniel said softly. Mr. Cullen nodded. "It's one of the calmest constellations, easy to miss, but worth finding." Daniel watched the whispering path for a long moment, letting the quiet settle deeper into him. The stars shimmered in slow waves, their light blending into the soft darkness. The view felt peaceful, steady, and warm. He lifted his head and stepped back. Pip rose and walked to Daniel's side, brushing lightly against his leg before sitting again. His breathing was slow, steady, and relaxed. Mr. Cullen folded the star chart and placed it back in the drawer. "There's one more thing I want to show you," he said. "Something I only bring out on nights like this." He walked to a small cabinet near the corner of the room. Inside was a wooden box with brass hinges, polished smooth from years of use. He lifted it gently and carried it to the center table. Pip followed, sniffing lightly at the box before sitting down again. Mr. Cullen opened the box slowly. Inside was a small brass instrument, a handheld star viewer with a narrow lens and a curved handle. The metal glowed softly in the lamplight. "This belonged to my grandfather," he said. "He used it before the observatory was built. It's simple, but it shows the sky in a gentle way." Daniel watched as Mr. Cullen lifted the viewer and held it toward the dome. The instrument caught the faint starlight, creating a soft shimmer across the brass. "Try it," Mr. Cullen said, offering the viewer. Daniel took it carefully. The brass felt warm in his hands. He lifted it toward the dome, looking through the narrow lens. The stars appeared softer, drifting in slow patterns. The viewer blurred the edges just enough to make the sky feel like a quiet painting. Pip sat beside Daniel, watching him with steady eyes. His tail curled neatly along his side, and he let out a soft exhale. Daniel lowered the viewer and handed it back. "It's beautiful." Mr. Cullen nodded. "Sometimes the simplest tools show the gentlest skies." He placed the viewer back in the box and closed it slowly. The soft click of the latch echoed lightly through the observatory. Daniel walked toward the window in the dome, looking out at the night sky. The stars shimmered softly, their light drifting across the darkness in gentle waves. Pip joined him, sitting quietly at his side. The observatory felt warm, steady, and peaceful. A quiet place where the night moved slowly, and everything softened into calm. Mr. Cullen dimmed the lamp slightly, letting more of the starlight fill the room. The soft glow washed across the wooden floor, creating gentle shadows that drifted with the faint breeze from the dome. Daniel stood still, letting the quiet settle around him. Pip leaned lightly against his leg, warm and steady. The night continued in a slow, gentle rhythm. The observatory holding its soft glow as the stars drifted quietly overhead.